Hey YouTube, it's Magician34. Sorry I've been a little bit inactive this last week, but it's finishing up summer, which is rough for me at my job, and I've been sick, and yada yada. You don't need to hear all that. But I did come up with a really cool idea. Somebody just said the right thing, and it made me really think about one of the cards I've often underestimated the most. It's a card that I think a lot of people kind of don't give much credit to, and I usually didn't. That card is Double Summon. Usually it's just a straight up -1 that will only in just the right circumstances pay off, and usually it's just a bad card. Bottom line, I think a lot more people use it when they shouldn't than really when they should. And I was just thinking, what would actually make this card useful? What would make it reliably good in a deck? And it occurred to me what deck this card might actually be useful in consistently. A deck where obviously cards are going to pay off for the Double Summon, and the Double Summon can actually speed you through your deck more efficiently. Basically just acting as a card that says thin your deck out. It's a free draw one, essentially. And that deck shouldn't be too surprising to you, and most of it's going to be pretty obvious, so I won't take too long on anything in here. It's Machina Gadgets, which is going to run 3 gear frames. Or, sorry, 3 Fortress and then 3 gear frames. You know what I mean. And then it's going to run 3 copies of Green Gadget. I am running 3 of each of the gadgets in this deck, and the basic reason is because you are running 3 double summons, the Green Gadget. And you want to definitely take advantage of that as much as possible. 3 yellow gadget. The idea here is to thin your deck out and hit your backup for your gadgets as much as possible. The only other monsters in this deck besides those 15 are Tragoedia and Gore's the Emissary Darkness. And that's it. 17 monsters, that's it. And everything else should be pretty straightforward. Heavy Storm, Mystical Space Typhoon, Brain Control. This card really likes this deck because you can even go Gear Frame, Brain Control, Double Summon, and hit the Fortress like that, which is a neat trick. But it can also let you just beat the stuffing out of your opponent by going Gadget, Brain Control, Gadget. And that's just another way to muster up a lot of cool stuff really quickly. So Brain Control doesn't make the cut for this deck. 2 copies of Pot of Avarice, because you can definitely stuff your graveyard quickly in this deck. As I already mentioned before, 3 copies of Double Summon. You got 12 monsters in your deck who definitely don't mind double summoning because they self-replace. And the other monsters in the deck, Tragoedia, Gores, and the 3 Fortress, can also benefit from double summon under the right circumstances. So it's definitely a nice card, and like I say, the idea here is virtually every card gives you a +1. Double Summon allows you to just repeat it, like you go Gadget, you +1. Double Summon, that's a -1, but you use it to summon that gadget you just searched, which will +1 you again. So you're still ahead of card, and you just thin your deck out, and you got an extra monster on the field. So if you combine it with, say, some removal card like Fissure or Smashing, you can just squeeze extra damage out, and make it less likely you'll hit a gadget on your next turn, which is good. So we're also going to run 3 copies of Book of Moon, a great way to disrupt other decks like X-Sabers, buy you an extra turn, and of course allows your gadgets to run stuff over. In addition to, of course, your Fortress and your Gear Frame. We can also run things over with the help of Book. We're also running Limited Removal, of course, the quintessential I Kill You card in this deck. Full complement of 3 Smashing Grounds, and 3 copies of Fissure, because you just need that point removal to just keep pressing through and hitting stuff. That's the whole idea of the deck. You run Mirror Force. It's just a I Kill Your Monster. Don't be afraid to use it on 1, but if you can get more targets, obviously that's better. 2 copies of D-Prison. If you fear Starlight Road a lot, you can always side out or just main deck, instead of the 1 Mirror Force and the 2 Prisons, just 3 Prisons. Kind of a judgment call. I like the 1 Force and the 2 Prisons. I think that works well. You don't see a whole lot of Starlight Road, and when you see it, they usually only run like 1 copy. So, not enough to really deter you from running Mirror Force, especially when you also run 1 copy of Torrential. And last but not least, 2 copies of Bottomless Trap Hole. If you're keeping track well enough to count the cards in this deck, number 1, you probably need a life, and number 2, good job, because I'm actually running 41, not 40, but the deck's got a lot of thing power to compensate, and it's just too hard to cut a card. If you insist on cutting a card, probably one of the double summons would be the way to go. But since I'm focusing on that card, I kind of wanted to keep the 3. And they do really pay off for themselves. Like I say, it's basically just an upstart goblin that doesn't gain your opponent the life points, and it gives you a little more field presence. So, really good in this deck. Also, you do have 2 ways to steal tuners from your opponent via Tragoedia and Brain Control, of course. So you could theoretically tune up something. So the extra deck does matter. I'm running Scrap Dragon, of course. He may not be a machine, although, you know, he could definitely fool you if you don't read him. He's the first really commonly accessible 8-star who can say, I point and click and kill something. Dark End being the first, but that's not exactly commonly accessible. So Scrap Dragon is the next best thing for the rest of us. Ultra in the new set, of course. Definitely worth running, very good card. And of course it doesn't hurt that he's got 2800 attack. Stardust Dragon, basically a lot of 1-of staples, because you're almost surely never going to sink more than once. Red Dragon Arcfiend, Colossal Fighter, Thought Ruler Arcfiend, Black Rose Dragon. X-Sabers will probably give you the best chance at sinking for 7, because you can steal an Arabellum or a Full Helm Knight. This is definitely a good thing to get with it. You can also get another thing that looks like a machine but isn't from the new set, Scrap Arcfiend. He was a promo at the pre-release, definitely should have picked one up. He's just the biggest 7-star by just sheer size that you can get, really, and so it's 2700. Good beat stick, and this deck does love good beat sticks. Armor Master, of course, you steal a 3-star tuner from Black Wings and you can make him. And Rebellum, never hurts. You also run Goyo. And Bryanak, really the only 2 6-stars you're going to need in this build. Nocturia Beast, if you can steal a 1-star tuner, you can make him, because virtually every monster in this tech is Earth, with the exceptions, of course, of Tragoedia and Gors. But everybody else is Earth, so he's theoretically an option. Magical Android. And I'll have Justice Cataster, if for some reason they would serve you better. And then 1 copy of Chimeratech Fortress Dragon, because just because you don't run Cyber Dragon doesn't mean they might not. And cool thing there is you can basically just summon a Gadget and then, you know, fart this guy out, and it's just a size upgrade to your Gadget, plus you got rid of their monster. So it's all good on that guy. And there you go. And there it is, double summon Machina Gadgets. Not bad. Definitely worth a try at your local. And until next time, rate, comment, subscribe, and enjoy.